This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Economic Times, in its editorial title, "Green is the color of inclusive growth," writes, "The government's goal of inclusive development and economic growth will remain unfulfilled if environmental sustainability is not addressed. Ensuring clean air and water and efficiency in resource use are central to improved economic growth. Policies must reflect this understanding. Environmental concerns, be it greenhouse gas emissions or biodiversity and ecosystem degradation, must be part of the development policy discussion. The green agenda must be mainstreamed, a concise, rounded version of which has been put forth by TERI that usefully underlines grid flexibility for greater infusion of renewable energy and collection of plastic waste. India has made important strides towards transitioning from the use of fossil fuels such as coal for generating electricity. The share of renewable energy-based generation capacity has increased substantially. As part of strengthening the power sector, attention must focus on easing the transition away from coal-based power, investing in batteries, improve transmission and policies that promote efficiency and reduce waste, improving air and water quality by strengthening waste management and reducing industrial and agricultural discharge must inform policies and programs across sectors. As the government focuses on improving the economy, it must keep the well-being of the people at the heart of its efforts. This will require transitioning to sustainable consumption and production patterns of development. The shift that makes environmental consideration on board is imperative. The Hindustan Times, in its editorial titled "Jai Shankar's entry marks the era of the expert," says the second term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi may come to be labelled the era of the expert. The most striking example is appointment of S. Jai Shankar, a career diplomat, to one of the big four ministries in the new cabinet. It would now be safe to say Modi's second term will be about policy implementation and delivery rather than political signalling. This reflects both the quality of his electoral mandate and the increasing complexity of managing a $3 trillion economy. There are few fields in which the need for expertise is more evident than foreign policy. India faces unusual foreign policy challenges as an international order that has existed largely unchanged since World War II is undergoing tectonic changes. The United States remains primus inter pares, but is more unilateral and unpredictable just as it becomes even more economically and strategically indispensable to India's own future. China has emerged as the world's number 2 power, even as it has regressed to a more authoritarian and more aggressive state structure. While relations may never be friendly, there are signals Beijing is interested in a modus vivendi with New Delhi. One immediate challenge facing India is its incipient trade dispute with the US. The Asian Age, in its editorial title "Trade Row a BIP in US Ties," says from June 5th, the preferential trade terms of a category of Indian exports to the United States will come to an end. President Donald Trump's administration made the announcement last week, venting its frustration over India's stance as regards market access to some categories of US exports. In the larger scheme of things, the changed American stance, which overruns decades of a pattern of trading ties, does not make sense, especially since the values are relatively small in monetary terms. Under the Generalized System of Preferences (GSP), about 11% of Indian exports to the US that total $54 billion in 2018 enter the US market without duty. Thus, around $6 billion worth of goods spanning 119 items will now become dutiable. India has considerably reduced the price of medical items such as stents for heart and knee implants. American pharmaceutical companies have long been upset over this as they now become uncompetitive. New Delhi has also raised tariffs on ICT, information and communication technologies, in order to promote its own nascent industry. India further seeks clarification that US dairy products exported to it are not based on bovines fed on animal organs. Negotiations with America on these matters, stretched over a long period, have not produced results. Newly imposed US tariffs on some Indian exports should spur our companies to become efficient and cut costs. That is the ideal situation instead of haggling interminably with the Trump administration on low-value items. India and the US have consolidated their relationship in the past 2 decades, especially in the strategic field. The latest trade blip does not spell a setback. Those were the comments from the press presented